What's going on YouTube? My name is Mr. Crippled, and today I'm going to be bringing you my top 3 easiest solo laners and their builds in Smite 2. Now before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you'd like to keep up with any future content, I will be leaving a link to my Discord and my Twitch in the description below. Now, the biggest caveat to this is these picks are not going to take into consideration a tier list. This is purely just of how easy they are to use, how well they can translate into late game, into mid game, and how well you can perform with them in any given matchup. So, at number 3, I'm going to be talking about Hades. Now, Hades is the pick that I normally go for people who usually like playing DPS. His character comes packed with a lot of sustain, can be pretty tanky, he does have a silence, and he can change team fights with the ultimate. And the good thing about this character is that in most cases, you're going to be building him full damage and then maybe 1 or 2 defensive items depending on the matchups and the needs of the team. And plus, this character is dirt easy when it comes to clear. I think the only thing that's going to be really hard about Hades is enemy teams who are confident enough to either A, jump you, or B, build anti-heal extremely early. But Hades does so much damage that the healing isn't what's going to make you win the fight. It's just purely going to be the damage. The healing is kind of just secondary to that. So, if you're going to be playing Hades solo, there's a very specific build that you can basically go every single game, and then maybe I'll give you 2 honorable mention cards that you're probably going to be wanting to build. So, first and foremost, you're always going to go Conduit Gem. Conduit Gem into Archmage's Gem. Reason being is because Hades is clear early, especially from Smite 1 after he saw a lot of nerfs to his 3. His clear is kind of bad at level 1. But Conduit Gem kind of fixes that issue for you up until level 3. Once you hit level 3, you don't really need it. However, Conduit Gem is going to make sure that you stay ahead of the other solo laner and make sure that you don't get out-cleared by them. There's a few exceptions to that rule, but that's mostly other enemy mage solos. And even then, once you hit level 3, it's basically over. So I recommend Archmage's Gem. I tend to say go Book of Thoth, right? Now, other people would probably say do a lifesteal build, you know, go Bancroft's Talon, go Typhon's Fang, but that makes you solely rely on the healing, and you don't just want to be healing a lot, you also want to be doing as much damage as possible to help get rid of the backline. So, what you build your first card is completely up to you, but this is the build that I recommend. So, go Book of Thoth. Then, if you want to, you can go Divine Ruin here. That way you can get rid of any other enemy healing in solo lane, making it to where it's even harder to fight you. After this, you want to go Polynomicon. You're going to be auto-canceling with this god a lot, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be teleporting, auto, you're going to be silencing, auto, you're going to be hitting your 3, auto. You're going to be throwing autos as much as possible so that way you can get your stacks of Blight, and you can do more damage to the enemy solo at any given point. And it makes it to where you don't really need cooldowns, but you're going to want them anyway. And as you can see, his cooldowns are already fairly short. Like, this is on 12 seconds, this is on 10 seconds, and this is on 8 seconds. His cooldowns are relatively short, so you're not gonna need those too much at the beginning of the game. After this card, you can still go ahead and commit to full damage, so you can get Spirit Deso, you can go Totem of Death if you really want the cooldowns. You can also go Chronos Pendant here to get more cooldowns. You can go Doom Orb, you can go Gem of Focus. Or in some cases, a lot of people will tell you can also go Risk Granting Pearl. This is a card that I recommend building on Hades solo as well if you want to get a second item, since this card is extremely expensive. Since it does give you a whopping 120 intelligence and 500 health, making you pseudo tanky. And plus, it complements really well into Book of Thoth since you gain more power for having more mana. So it's a really good item to build. And then finally, for your last card, you can build Obsidian Shard or Rod of Tahuti, depending on what you need. If their tanks are kind of just, if their tanks are kind of giving you an issue, you can go Obsidian Shard. If you really just want to focus on killing squishies, you can go Rod of Tahuti. This is a pretty generic build. This will work in most cases. You don't need to build these cards in this exact order. Build them in the way that is necessary for your 1v1s. So if you notice that they're having a lot of healing and the healing is what's getting you killed, you go Divine Ruin second. If you don't, and you kind of maintain that level lead, you can go Polynomicon second. If you want your pseudo tankiness early to get the most expensive card out the way, you can go Wish Granting Pro. It's really up to you, but this build will probably see you a lot of success. Now, if you want to be a little bit more tanky so you don't have to worry about dying as often and you can really be a frontline engager, I would sell Rada Tahuti, I would sell Spirit Desolation, and I would sell Divine Ruin, and just get these 3 cards as your main DPS. You're gonna want to go into Ruinous Ankh, and then your last 2 cards are going to be cooldown items. You can, I would recommend Mantle of Discord and Magai's Cloak. These 2 cards, even though they don't give you a lot of health, they do give you 10 cooldown each, and plus Magai's Cloak will basically give you free beads, and when you're about to die, you can AoE stun people, which is going to be really important, especially if you're in your ult and they keep hitting you. This will stun them, forcing them to stay in the damage, and you can just keep pumping that out without having to worry about the team killing you. But this is basically a really good go-to build. This build is kind of expensive, I will not lie, but his farming is so brain dead easy and quick that you're probably going to be able to get these cards on fairly quickly. Number 2, I want to talk about Bellona. Now, originally I wasn't even going to include her in the top 3 easiest, but given where the meta is right now, she's just very strong of counterpicking. Like, Thor is really strong right now, and his best build is an auto attack build, and Bellona shuts that down. Now, the reason why she's so easy is because you just walk at somebody and you hold R2. No matter what stance you're in, you're going to be holding R2 to your heart's content until they die. You will need to learn which stance you should probably be in depending on the matchup, but most of the time you're either going to be fighting in your 3 or you're going to be fighting in your 1, so they can't fight you back. Plus, her 3 is a disarm, making it to where people who are auto attack based can't hit you back. And even in some cases, for people who are ability based, they need to auto cancel a lot. So having this to stop them from being able to clear or hit the back wave is going to be very important. He also comes with this really huge bludgeon move that does a lot of damage. Plus, this gives her cleave autos, so it makes it to where a lot of gods can't even out clear her from level 1 to 5. And then she gets block stacks with her 1, making it to where after a certain amount of hits, the enemy god's next auto attack will no longer won't hit you, and you won't take any damage, and you'll just straight up block it. And it'll make it basically gives her an extra layer of defense. Plus, since you're going to be building a lot of attack speed items anyway, your damage numbers are going to be fairly high. Plus, this has a slow on it, so she does have a little bit of CC. Plus, the ult is a very good team-changing ult. It can stun. It can stun a lot of people, but most of the time, you're probably only going to be stunning 1 person. And plus, in this field, you'll get extra protections and strength for your entire enemy team. So it's a very good engaging ultimate. The cons to this god, though, is that she kind of falls off mid to late game. Reason being is because, again, she doesn't have a lot of hard CC, and a lot of the top tier solo laners either just pump out way more damage than her that she can handle, or they just come packed with so much CC that you can't really get your kit going. But it doesn't overall take away that you can do really well with this god into solo and perform basically almost every game. Now, this is the build you're going to want to go. If you want a lot of sustain, which is probably going to be your go-to anyway, you're going to be going Death's Toll. This card will give you healing, it'll give you mana back whenever you hit autos. If you pair that with her 3 that already heals her every 4th auto, her self-sustain is going to be incredibly high. Also, once you level up Death's Toll, every auto will basically subtract a little bit of time from your non-ultimate cooldowns. So you'll be able to spam your abilities a lot more often. So personally, I go Death's Embrace or Death's Toll. If you want to be a little bit more tanky and forgo a tad bit of your sustain, I will go Warrior's Axe. Warrior's Axe right now is very strong because it will give you health back, and it will also make the enemy person that you hit basically take true damage, making you tankier and making them a lot easier to kill. However, again, you do lose a little bit of sustain for the trade-off in protections. So most of the time, you're probably going to be going Death's Toll. After this, I see a lot of Bellona's build Golden Blade. Golden Blade is strong on her. Do not get it twisted, because it makes it to where all of her stances have cleave autos. However, you do not need this item. You build this item for a little bit of extra damage. Do not need it, because you do not need cleave autos when you already have cleave autos. Okay? So for your first card, I would recommend either going Kinsblade. That way you get a lot of damage out early, and it makes it to where it's harder to tank against you. Or you can go Dagger of Frenzy, that gives you more strength, gives you an active that makes your basic attacks hit harder, and gives you more attack speed. Me personally, I prefer going Kinsblade, because even though it does give you less power, it does give you more attack speed, and being able to kill tanks early, especially the enemy solo, while them not being able to fight you back is going to be... It's going to be pretty important in a lot of matchups, especially when you're trying to go up against a Thor, or when you're trying to go up against like maybe a Hades. You need as much damage as possible to make sure the other person can't fight you. So personally, I go Kinsblade. Next, obviously, you're going to go Berserker Shield. This is her best item. Attack speed, protections, and it makes you tankier when you drop below a certain threshold of health. This is going to be her go-to. After this, it's kind of up to you. I like stacking on more attack speed with this. So you can either go Shoguns if you're into a magical solo, or you can go, in most cases, you can go Pharaoh's Curse. Why Pharaoh's Curse is so good and why I don't build Dagger of Frenzy is because, one, it's an active, and if you've seen any of my other videos, I really don't believe in building two actives at once. I believe in just having the one for the build to really come together, and having two actives will kind of make it to where you're worried about a little bit too much in a team fight when you can just pop this and run in. Pharaoh's Curse reduces everybody's attack speed around you. It reduces enemy shields, and this slows while reducing their attack speed. So it makes it even harder for enemy hunters or enemy auto attack based guys to fight you. Plus, this gives you 40 of each protection. And one of the recent changes is Berserkers gives you both protection. So this is really a good start into any solo laner, whether they're magical or physical. After this card, again, it's kind of up to you. I like building a little bit more damage and tankiness, so I like going Shifter Shields here, basically because this will also give you more strength, making you hit harder while also making you a little bit tankier. If you don't want that and you kind of just want to stack more attack speed, you can go Shogun's Ofuda. I don't think it's great, but it does help. But personally, I go Shifter. After this, if you want more damage at this point, you can go like Dominance, you can go Executioner. If you really want to stick on people, I'll go Hasten Fatalis. Hasten Fatalis isn't really in a good spot right now because they did nerf it a lot. So melee ranged auto attackers don't get a lot of benefit from this, the same as hunters do. But again, since she does have a slow, this is a lot more beneficial on her, so this is not a bad card to have on. Me personally, I like being able to shred tanks while being able to do damage myself, so I like going Executioner or Dominance. So for this slot, I'll go Executioner. And then your last spot is basically a flex spot. You can go any defensive item. Again, Magai's Cloak is a really good item to have. That way you can ignore some CC, allowing you to dive tanks or dive backlines a lot easier without having to worry about getting CC too much. You can go Mantle of Discord instead. That way you get an AoE stun when you drop below a certain threshold. Plus, pairing this with Shifter's Shield will make you extremely tanky. So either of those items are really good. Again, this is just personal preferences. This is a flex spot. So in most cases, it'll probably better to go Magai's. And then finally, for the number one spot is Chop. This is basically the ability-based version of Bellona, except in this game, instead of comparatively to Smite 1, he's actually good. Tons of sustain, anti-attack speed, hard to kill, very hard to lock down, silencing ult that can burn beads and other items. This character basically has it all, and you'll still do a crap ton of damage, and his builds are very flexible. Now, the only thing is he does have an aspect. I do not recommend building it in solo. It does help a little bit doing more damage, but the trade-off in damage for the sustain that you lose is not really equivalent. Basically, just run him as base Chop and you'll do perfectly fine. Now, for his build, kind of similar to Bellona, you have two different options. You can go Bluestone Brooch, that way you get a little bit more damage whenever you're spamming your abilities, or you can go Warrior's Axe. Now, this god is really up to you. His clear is actually very decent since his cooldowns are very short. Going Bluestone just makes it to where you can guarantee that you can outclear the other person that's walking at you, plus you get more power. Warrior's Axe just makes it even more impossible to kill you. It's really up to you depending on the matchup. If you're going against somebody who has relatively the same clear as you, such as I'd probably say maybe Thor, maybe Bellona, maybe Cabrakan. It really just depends. You can go Bluestone to kind of give you that edge. Most cases, if you want the damage, just go Bluestone. It's the simplest way to go. The next card you're going to be building is going to be a little bit weird. You're actually going to be building, or is it Soul Gem? Now, if you don't know, Chalk actually does have dual scalings. His 1 and his 3 are benefited from having intelligence scaling, since his heal scales off intelligence, and his 1 actually does have 6% intelligence scaling, which is only down, 15% from strength. And going Bluestone with this combo makes it to where your 1 will hit even harder. Plus, after using 3 abilities, or hitting 3 abilities, you'll gain stacks towards Soul Gem, and once you hit a 4th ability, you gain a really big heal, and your next ability will do more damage. Plus, this does give CDR and a pretty decent amount of lifesteal. So, So, this card is very flooded for him, and it's basically going to be your go-to every single time. Your next card is, again, a flex spot. It really does depend on who you're going up against next. If you're going against somebody with physical defense or strength scaling, then Glad Shield is a really good item here. If you're going against somebody who has magical scaling, I usually don't recommend this card, but Genji's Guard is going to be really good on Chalk because you're going to want to stack as much cooldowns as possible. If you want to do the safest route, no matter who you're going up into, you'll build Prophetic Cloak. Most times it's probably safer just to build Prophetic Cloak, simply because you'll gain stacks just for doing damage, and if you're getting ganked or whatever, you'll gain stacks of protections corresponding to the person that you're fighting. So let's say you're going up against Hades, or you're going up against Cabrakan. You don't have to worry about not having any magic defense, because this card will take care of that for you as long as you're constantly hitting the other person. Plus, this gives 10 cooldowns, and you'll gain more protections as the game goes along. So this is probably the safest pick to go into. Your next card is going to be really dependent on, again, on the matchup. If you're not worried about the enemy god sustain, I would go Glad Shield here, no matter what god you're going up into, if you build Prophetic Cloak second. Because Glad Shield will make you do more damage depending on how much protections you have, and it does not matter which protections you have. And plus, it does give you health, and it gives you way more cooldowns, and that's going to be very important for this god. If you are worried about the enemy god sustain, Ruinous Ankh is right there. This card, AoE anti-heal makes it to where you could heal, but they can't. So in a pseudo way, it adds more to your damage in a solo lane aspect. After this, you can either have a little bit of fun, or you can commit to the full tankiness. If you want to have a little bit of fun, your last 2 cards are going to be damage cards. Those being Tekokaji, and where is it? That's attack speed, I'm dumb. Right here, Gem of Focus. Reason why you want to build these 2 cards is not only did they both give you cooldowns, but both of these cards together will actually give you more movement speed and cooldowns, so you can run people down with just these 2 cards. Now, if you want to build these 2 cards, I would recommend building them a little bit earlier. That way you can get more damage and you can increase your movement speed early, then build tanky afterwards. But again, since you're not going to be tanky, you're going to be easier to gank, so keep that in mind. If you want to be a little bit more tanky and be a little bit better help for the team, you can go Glorious Predwin here. This does give you a whopping 20 cooldown rate while also giving you physical and magic protection, so it does stack into your Glad Shield. And the active does basically does damage, it slows, and you gain a health shield after using this. So this card is a really good, well-rounded card. And then again, obviously, Magai's Cloak or Mantle of Discord. Either one of those items, completely up to you. Me personally, I'm a degenerate, so I like building into Tekokaji and building into Gem of Focus. That way they can't really run away from you and you get a crap ton of cooldowns. But those are just my personal builds and my personal top 3 for the easiest gods for solo lane. If you have any difference in opinion, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about this little list that I put together. And thank you for watching, and y'all take care.